everyone, so my name's Juleann and I am here to lead you step by step through different variations while pregnant. So this is my third pregnancy and my third time doing Journey into Power as a yoga practice. I am currently in my third trimester, but a lot of these different variations that I'm offering up can be used with second trimester as well. And then with first trimester, it's really just how you're feeling and how your body feels. You can basically do the entire practice without any modifications. For myself, differently for this third one, I was already modifying by my 7th week because my body was just like, nope, we're changing it up. So just make sure you listen to yourself, listen to how you feel. This is especially important while you are pregnant because your body is just shifting every single moment of the day, day to day, week by week. So that is my biggest thing for you, just to listen to yourself. All right, so let's talk about integration, the first part of the sequence of Journey into Power. It's a pretty simple section of the entire sequence. Nothing too complicated changing, but we'll just play around with it so you can see how you can modify and change it up slightly so that when you go into a practice or into any of the other Evolution Go live Zoom classes or a class in the studio, you'll know where you can go with your body. So first up is Child's Pose. So it's actually Child's Pose, Downward Facing Dog, Ragdoll, Extended Mountain, Samastatihi. So with Child's Pose, nothing here really changes. For myself, I usually take a much wider base. So when I first started practicing, basically my knees would probably be right out to the edges of my mat. Now with third trimester, and especially with my baby belly being a bit larger and more pronounced, I actually have to go wider to the point where my knees are actually set off of my mat. That's what feels comfortable for me. And again, it's kind of just a day by day, play around with it and see what feels good for you. Because I can tell you, one day I feel great, the next day I'm like, oh, I need to dial it back a little bit. So even here, what feels really good for me is I can get my chest onto the ground to give my core some support. So I just go into Child's Pose like this. So as you can see, I keep my legs, my knees very wide so I have more space for my belly to just be really comfortable and supported in that way. So Downward Facing Dog, kind of the same thing here. It's not, you don't need to do a whole lot of changing here. Downward Facing Dog, pretty simple, just that upside down V. Make sure your fingers are spread really wide to give you that grounded support. And most of the times, leaders will tell you to have your feet hip width distance apart. And I can already tell you right now, hip width distance does not feel good for myself. So as you progress throughout your pregnancy, you may need to go wider and wider and wider. Again, it's just playing around. So for me, I've noticed hip width distance doesn't work. So it's usually about to the outside edges of my mat almost. That's where my comfort zone is. So when I come into Downward Facing Dog, I have a really wide and stable base so that when I start to press my chest back to lift my tailbone up higher, my belly has wiggle room between my legs. So you can see here as I press back and I lift my tailbone up, my belly is not getting squished by my thighs at all. It's got some room to wiggle. Next up is Ragdoll. Here is where it is a day-by-day thing. And again, I've said it in other videos, if this is your first time here, blocks. 2 of them will be your best friends throughout this entire sequence while you're pregnant. So with the 2 blocks, with ragdoll, again, keeping that wide stance. This is hip width ins. For me, I kind of go right here, even maybe about here, just depends on the day. I use the blocks sometimes because my core can get really tired. Some days I don't need to modify ragdoll at all, and other days it's like, oh, dial it back, girlfriend. So with ragdoll, you're really having that curve in your upper back, not worried about your hamstrings getting a stretch here. But you can see I can't really curve right here because my belly's there. So sometimes this is as high as I am, and I can just sway from side to side, whatever feels good. Other days, I actually have my hands on my thighs, so you can, again, get some support for your core, because this is a core pose. And you can start to lift and pull your belly button to your spine here a bit more with the support of your hands on your thighs and round your back. Or you can just go for the blocks and use your hands to press down and get the stretch in your upper and mid back and low back here too. Again, all about playing around. So there's just a few variations for you. The next thing is after ragdoll, we do extended mountain. And with that being said, as you're in ragdoll, you want to really make sure you ground down. And then when you rise up, you sweep up and you can reach up tall. For me, I even like to go for that little bit of a back bend to get that full stretch and opening. And especially for 3rd trimester, when you start to get a little bit squished up in your lungs, that slight opening in your upper chest can allow your lungs to fully inhale and exhale. Something to be mindful of is as you go up and down, is your blood pressure. If this is a newer practice for you, just be aware as when you come up or as you go down and come up, you may feel that sense of a rush in your head. I can tell you with this, my first pregnancy, I felt that a lot until my body got acclimated to it. With this one, I'm like up and down, no problem. So again, first pregnancy, 2nd pregnancy, 1st trimester, 3rd trimester, you never know how it's going to go, and it's awesome. It's just really fun to play. All right, so you reach up and you can go for the back bend, and samastatihi, where you do the 3 ohms, and you can start to practice. And that right there, my friends, is integration. Short, simple, and then you can just start to flow, and you can watch the next video with Awakening, where I show you different modifications with the Warrior Ones, as well as Sun A's and Sun B's, flip dogs, and all that stuff. All right, so I'll see you for the next one. Bye.